You just built Zero Trust, and now you want to keep it that way. Welcome to Threat Talks. My name is Lieuwe Jan Koning, and here from headquarters at ON2IT, we bring you Zero Trust Step 5, Monitor and Maintain. Specifically, maintain. Let's get on to it.
Welcome to Threat Talks. Let's delve deep into the dynamic world of cybersecurity.
This is the final episode of the series, is it? Maybe we're probably going to have more, huh, Rob? Yeah. The for now final episode on the 5 steps of Zero Trust is here today. And last time we talked about the monitoring part of Step 5. But Step 5 is actually about monitor and maintain. Joining me today, Rob Maas. He's the field CTO of ON2IT. And he dreams about Zero Trust every day. And his goal, one of his many goals in life, is to make sure that everybody knows everything about Zero Trust. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you.
We've been talking about the 5 steps so far, at least. Well, we are at 5. Last time we did 5A and now 5B, if you will.
Yeah, correct.
Shall we briefly recap the 5 steps?
Yeah.
So the first step is define the protect service.
So we look at what's important for your organization and build protection around it by defining it as a protect service, and also write down really the business context, like who's the owner, how important it is, what kind of data is in there, those kind of things.
Yeah, so we know what to protect.
Exactly.
And then Step 2, map the transaction flows.
Yeah, so once we have these protect services, we want to know which protect services are allowed to communicate with each other, or maybe required to communicate with each other, because that gives us good insight. And also if they are from different business owners, they have to kind of have a mutual agreement that that data is being exchanged.
Yeah. Should we see data between those protect services in the first place? Yeah, that's Step 2. And then once we know this, we go to Step 3.
Yeah, Step 3, so architect your Zero Trust environment. It's, I would say, always one of the most important steps, because then we bring it really to life. We bring Zero Trust really into the operation. So Step 1 and 2 is we define things. And Step 3, we say, okay, these are the security controls important to this protect service. And now we're going to bring them into the operation. So we really bring Zero Trust to life.
I know why you like it, because it involves whiteboarding.
That's true.
Yeah. You make an architectural picture, right? Yeah. Okay. Now then we know what to put where, and we can budget what controls we're going to buy, right? And then we go to Step 4, which is?
Yeah, once we have the controls, so Step 4 is create your Zero Trust policy. And that's all about who or what needs access. We typically do this with the Kipling method. So we get fine-grained policies, defining who is allowed to have access into a protect service or launch certain processes. And it's not only policies like in the firewall sense, but also how should the EDR configuration be configured, what's allowed, what's not.
Yeah, this is the where it really is operationalized, the actual default deny policies.
Here we go really enforce everything. Yeah,
that's crucially important as well. And then we are in Step 5, monitor and maintain. We did monitor already.
Yeah. So monitor is where once we put these security controls in place and we activate them, and they are going to enforce these policies, they are going to throw a lot of events, and we should judge every single event whether it needs action or not.
And then we get to maintain, and that's for the day. And we have a couple of parts in this. Maybe the first we should talk about what we put a lot of effort in, at least as an organization, policy validation.
Yeah, so what will happen over time? Policies will change. The business will change, it will evolve. So that means policy will also be adjusted.
By policy, what do we mean? We don't mean the policy document as for your ISMS. So this is our encryption policy.
This is really the documents, the operational policy. So it's running in your firewalls, it's running on your endpoint detection and response system.
Access rules, netting rules,
etc. The technical policies, maybe it's a good
which
word.
Extensions to allow in email, all those kind of things.
Yeah. So and those will evolve over time, because new access is required. Maybe old access is not required anymore. And that's also one of the things that you will typically see, especially with firewalls. If someone deploys a new server that needs access to a certain other system and it doesn't work, they come to the firewall administrator and say, okay, can you open this for me? This application is needed, this user is needed, whatever. And that's then done. But if somebody cleans up a server, then nothing breaks because nothing is being blocked. And they typically forget to inform the firewall administrator.
Best works if something does not work. Huh?
Yeah. So they will not inform the firewall administrator. And the rule will typically be there for years, because everyone is afraid to remove rules from a firewall because they might break something. Nowadays, luckily, we have good tools in place to detect those rules, but that's something you need to do to detect if the policy is still working correctly.
Yeah, and validating that they're actually properly done in Step 4. I mean, if there's no logging enabled on a firewall rule, or we exclude the whole hard drive from scanning with our EDR tool, those kind of things.
Yeah.
We can easily...
Yeah, you want just constantly, or at least after every change, check if the policy is still correct.
A bit related with configuration management then.
Yeah, but this is really checking not necessarily the documenting the configuration, but the actual configuration that's running in your environment. So another example is people tend to make temporary rules, even on EDR systems, that they forget to remove. What also can happen is that firewalls nowadays or any other security solution are often being managed or at least updated automatically by the cloud. So in the cloud there is cloud delivery systems in place that will update your signatures, but also sometimes push new features to certain security controls, which you want to check if you turn them on. A very typical thing that happens, for example, to firewalls and proxies is they introduce new URL categories. Maybe, so for example, newly registered domains or a category.
Yeah, something that was not separately kept track of before. And now it's new. So we're now getting into the next subject indeed. New features that are available in your existing equipment. You're already paying for it. Yeah. Let's enable it.
Yeah, and then also, they will push out these new updates, but they rarely will activate them. So for example, newly registered domains, they will push it out, but normally they will say that, hey, traffic is still allowed because a vendor doesn't want to have a track record that they push out an update and the things get blocked. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they typically push out new features, and then everyone, or at least a lot of people, will forget about, oh, I can also get new features. So it will all be allowed by default. Well, you can improve your security by taking a good look or even maintain your security, because maybe URLs in this example are placed from one category to this new category.
But this is a good thing to realize for everybody. I mean, you have a security product. That doesn't mean that it stays in the best configuration after you did the migration.
The quality will even go down.
Yeah.
So you will get this.
There has to be a counterforce against that then.
There should be, yeah. So that's what we try to achieve here. But unfortunately, you see still a lot of people, and then especially aiming at firewalls, because they are really evolved over the last 10 years. We discussed this in the last episode as well. It's a bit of a pity that people pay for a lot of features, and they're typically good security features, and I would say only enable half of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can, but it makes sense, because hackers also evolve their techniques, and a firewall vendor, endpoint protection vendor should evolve their product to combat those as well. So
correct. Yep.
Indeed, there's some kind of a decay in effectiveness of your equipment.
Yeah, and we're used to do it with. I think everyone nowadays agrees that a traditional antivirus solution is not sufficient anymore, and we should move to EDR or XDR tools. But for firewalls, it's okay, I need to have a new firewall, but we often forget about all these features that come with it.
Yeah. Even if there's a hardware refresh, or you bought it 3 years ago or 5 years ago, and you want to refresh it, don't simply copy you could copy the configuration.
As a starting point, it's okay, but then you need to look at all these new features and what they bring to you, and evaluate if they are applicable to that protect service or not.
But that's not necessarily just when you buy a new equipment.
No, it's also in the running period, because features will be pushed out.
Okay. Often overlooked, huh?
I would say almost always, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pity. Especially because it's for free. I mean, this is security for...
Yeah, you already paid for it.
Yeah. Traffic flows, that's another thing that we need to maintain.
Yeah, so
what do we mean by that?
In step 2, we define the traffic flows from a definition phase. Which protect service should be allowed to communicate with another protect service, and the business owner should agree upon so mutual consensus between those two. And we define, okay, these are the flows that we expect. But now we're in the running phase. We can take a look at, hey, what flows did we see? And maybe there's a flow defined that we expect to see, but it's not there. So where's the mistake? Did we maybe made a mistake in step 2? Or did we configure something incorrectly? But also the other way around, if there is traffic between protect services where there is no flow defined, why is that traffic there? Is it valid, or maybe it indicates something different, that people moving around laterally? So we also want to investigate on that.
Yeah. But in theory, of course, if you do step 2 correctly, you exactly know what you need. And then in step 3 and 4, you put the controls in place so you can actually block stuff that's not compliant with step 2 outcome.
Yep.
And in 4, you make the right policy, then you should not see anything here.
No, normally they should be perfectly aligned. But like we said, in the running phase, things will change and evolve, and you will not do step 2 every time. You normally
people make mistakes.
People make mistakes as well, but this is a good way of checking the job you have done before if it was correct, or that maybe things have changed in the last couple of months or days, depending on how often you check.
Yeah. And another subject is behavioral analysis.
Yeah. So with all these logs, so we discussed this also in the monitoring part. You get a lot of information on what's going on. So with the monitoring part, you typically focus on the events. But all these logs can also indicate, hey, there is something going on. So if you collect the logs, and typically you do that with an XDR system, sometimes referred to as next-gen SIEM or SIEM 2.0, but in general, XDR was the product that brought this feature, and then SIEM vendors also try to embed this. But the idea here is we have a lot of logs, and if you put machine learning on that, you can define baselines. Hey, this is what's going on in my environment. This is normal behavior. And then if something changes and there's a big enough delta between the baseline and the new scene traffic or the new scene behavior, then you can throw out an alert and say, okay, here it looks like there's something going on. Maybe it's perfectly fine and you just need to adjust your environment a bit. But it can also mean that there's really something going on that you need to investigate. The downside, I would always say, with behavior analytics is they also come with a lot of false positives. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you're a retailer, then you have your normal traffic flows, and then during the holiday period it will probably spike. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do anything, then those systems will cause a lot of alerts.
And spikes if you fill over a portion of your applications do so.
A lot of false positives are involved here, but once you have everything set up, I think this is one of the last steps you can take to really get to a high level.
Okay. Another one that we see going in the wrong direction a lot of times, it's about architectural changes. Mm-hmm. For example, we're moving towards the cloud, or we're moving from an on-prem Kubernetes cluster into the cloud, or vice versa, or
from one cloud to another.
VMs are being migrated to containers, etc. And then, from a network perspective, you may think that you have a segmented network, which is true. But then all applications are getting into this one platform, and from a network perspective, certainly no longer the case. Huh?
Yeah.
So, can you explain a little bit about that? What we typically see there?
So what you already told is everything is true there. But another one is also within cloud. There's a lot of involvement going on, and typically DevOps teams are really on top of that. So they also want to include new features, or going to migrate from a traditional security within Kubernetes, for example, to go to a service mesh. And now even the service mesh is evolving by removing sidecars. So there's a lot of movement within the architectural changes.
This is important because with sidecars we were able to see traffic, but without we cannot anymore, right? So
at least you need to change your controls on that. So your controls should adapt as well. And whether there is a control or not, you should know that before you make that change. Mm-hmm. And then you can decide, okay, we are going to accept the risk that will be included or not. But it basically means if you have these changes coming up, you should go back to step 1. That the information is probably still correct.
I promised in the introduction that 5 would be the last step, but you're now saying that we have to start over.
It's repetitive. Especially if you're doing big changes, you should go back step 1, step 2, step 3. And you've done the work already, so probably there will not be much change in step 1 and 2. Maybe the owner will change, or maybe a few flows will change, but especially in step 3, if you really move from one environment to another with different possibilities. So, for example, on-prem to cloud, or from VMs to containers, or to an hosted Kubernetes service, you get a lot of different tools at your disposal. So it's up to the architects in step 3. Hey, these are all the measures that we want to take. Our complete environment is going to change now. Mm-hmm. How do we implement them? How do I migrate all these security controls also to this new environment?
Mm-hmm. So in step 5, you detect these things. So step 5, there's a trigger to start over at step 1.
Yeah. Maybe they moved, and you see, for example, you don't receive any logs anymore about 2 services that you used to communicate between VMs and going with a firewall in between, and you see all this traffic. And now they moved everything into a Kubernetes cluster where there's no firewall involved because the network team was not involved in this whole migration.
Aware, yeah.
And then you see nothing anymore. And you even might see if you have your processes right, you see, hey, this rule is no longer used. I can simply remove it. Hey, that's strange to very important business processes. And then you should ask yourself, okay, what happened here? And then you probably find out, okay, they moved it and we need to do
so then
step 3 again.
In the transaction flows, you define that two protect servers cannot talk to each other, and suddenly because of the migration, they now can.
You don't see it. So you used to see the traffic there, and now you don't see it anymore. So the network team, so in a lot of companies, especially the bigger ones, we have different teams. You have a network team, you have a cloud team, etc. Then maybe the cloud team implemented something, and now the network team is blind.
Yeah. So it's important then to make sure that the zero trust philosophy is actually embedded and on a higher level in the organization, even not at the CIO level or at the CISO level, but actually beyond that, right?
On every level, it should be people should be included. And if a developer thinks, hey, I'm now going to use cloud native tools that are at my disposal, hey, this might impact security. Maybe I should discuss if we need to adjust something here.
All right. A lot to maintain.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's ongoing.
But it's for a good cause. But what you said, maybe let's highlight that. Once you've gone through those 5 steps and you need to redo it, the big things are already done. So it's like an adjustment. You just have
so maybe the owner changes, or maybe some of the controls change, but typically only a few things changes.
Yeah, or a different brand of firewall. You still need to implement similar features. Yeah. Okay, well, Rob, thank you very much. This concludes the second part of the 5th step. Monitor and maintain the maintain part. And now we start over at number 1. So we will actually provide a playlist on YouTube. And if you really want to experience full zero trust, then put it on repeat, indeed. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And to our listeners and viewers, thank you as well. We enjoyed that you tuned in for us. And if you liked it as well, please like this video, because we would like to spread the word further. And if you also press the subscribe button, the next episode of Threat Talks will also be in your inbox. From headquarters here at ON2IT, I thank you once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Threat Talks, a podcast by ON2IT Cybersecurity and AMS-IX. Did you like what you heard? Do you want to learn more? Follow Threat Talks to stay up to date on the topic of cybersecurity.